Hello, everybody out there. This is Old Buck Dave, flying solo here for a while. Old Buck Dell is out on the road, searching for a new studio somewhere, I think. That's what he says. It's what he promised me he was going to do. Anyway, before we patch him in on Zoom, I thought I would just give you some updated listener statistics here. It's pretty interesting what's been happening. Germany is now solidly in second place in listenership outside the U.S. So vielen Dank an Deutschland. I think I said thank you to them. And interestingly, Russia is strengthening its number 3 spot. I think we've got a couple listeners in Chelyabinsk. That's up in the Urals there. So, очень приятно слушайте меня. To you Russians out there. This is too much fun. All right, in a virtual tie for 4th and 5th, we have Turkey and the Czech Republic. And to them, I say, de qui and tesecular. And I may have told them to chase a chicken. I hope not, but I wanted to thank them. And way down at number 6, we have Canada. Oh, Canada, wherefore art thou, Canada? What's going on out there? Ever since we left Halifax, things have just gone downhill. Now, I must admit we've got some problems with Disney here. They're a little more formal than we are, and so we may have, that contract may go up in flames here. So we are going to be looking for another spot for our studio, and that's what Dale is doing. He's out on the road scouting around here. So I'm going to try to patch him in now via Zoom. Maybe, let's see, I got to change some settings here.
All right, can you hear me now?
Hey, that's him. That's Old Buck Dale. Good man.
Yeah, this is Old Buck Dale. I was just at a quick visit to Polk City.
Polk City. Is that in Washington?
Yeah, no.
Is that near Lake Stevens or?
No. Polk City is south of Orlando. I was heading in that direction, so I jumped off. I have an old Buck friend lives in Polk City, and so I thought I'd stop and see him and check out the possibility of, broadcasting from that neighborhood. So anyhow, that's where I'm at. What's happening with you? What's going on?
Who's your buddy? Is it anybody I know?
Do you remember Old Buck? His name was Kirg.
Kirg, of course.
Yes.
Of course.
High school buddy.
Well, he was your grade school buddy, I guess.
He was my grade school buddy. And he, unlike a lot of the old Bucks that I've been talking to lately, including myself, forgetting some few things, he's kind of the institutional memory of way back when. He's the one who can tell you who lived on every street. And
wow.
I was amazed. I said, holy smokes. It not only does he remember that, I've forgotten so much of that stuff. But anyhow, he's a good old Bucks buddy, and we had a nice visit. And speaking of remembering things, what was that word that we couldn't remember that we were laughing about?
I can't remember.
What's the word?
Give me some more hints.
No, I'm going to give you a clue. The word was
sounds like
what you don't get when you get if you don't get the real thing, what you get.
Imitation?
No, this was like if you got a shot or a pill. Remember?
Placebo.
And you
placebo,
remember?
Yes.
You remember how we laughed hysterically for about 8 minutes trying to remember that word?
God, that wasn't even a segment, right?
That wasn't even a segment, but that's a true story.
It could have been. Yeah, that was a sad story there. Watching two guys trying to remember the word placebo.
But Kirk can remember a lot of that stuff, and it was quite interesting to sort of get a historical update on all the folks we knew way back when. So, anyhow, what's on? I mean, since I'm not in there with you, what did you have on your agenda? What were we talking about today?
Well, before that, I mean, how did you do with the studio search? Any likely candidates yet?
No, I don't think we're going to find a spot there. That's kind of
really?
Yeah, it's kind of rural. So I'm going to keep heading west.
So did you stop at Lake Stevens on your way?
No, I didn't get out that far, but I understand we've got a lot of folks out there that maybe that's a good place to host it. Then would be right in their backyard.
You know where our number one listenership is? What the
No.
town? I'm shocked. Murraysville, Pennsylvania.
Really?
I know 2 people in Murraysville. They are number 1 with a bullet.
Oh,
Interesting.
that's not a big town, is it?
Not a big town, no. So it must be. It's a tight tribe there, and we appreciate all the old bucks from Murraysville.
So we want to
Anyway.
give a big shout out to the Buck listeners in
Shout out,
Murraysville.
yes.
You know?
But I digress. Yeah. Well, you were saying the other day you wanted to talk about music and music we remember and that sort of thing. So give me a little bit more hint. I mean, since we did that, I wrote some notes down, thought about some things and some live acts I've seen. But why don't you kick it off here?
Well,
and
music.
Tell me what you were thinking.
This is what came to me when I thought of a song, but it was more. I would have to clarify that it's not just a song. It's not just the melody of the song. It was the circumstances in which I heard it that makes it memorable. And the song I'm thinking about was never a number 1 tune, but this song never left my memory. So when it comes to music, there are favorite songs. You have favorite songs, right?
I do.
And you have favorite artists, right?
I have favorite art. Yeah. Doesn't everybody? Come on.
Well,
Yep.
Well, I want to clarify. This is not so much a favorite song. This is like a song that was in a memorable circumstance.
A special time and place.
A special time and place, whether it was a real live show or wherever you were. So, for example, what do you have as a favorite song or a special place or circumstance that had music involved and you can't never forget it?
Never forget it? Well, I like John Lennon's song.
But where were you?
The name of it. That's how much I like it.
No, but where were you? Where was the circumstance?
Okay. Well, I mean, I can talk about some live performances that I've seen that are very memorable.
Did the songs come back to you to remember? I mean, do you remember the songs, the lyrics of the words or anything like that of that?
I do. I remember some of them. Yeah. Well, for example, let me think about this. You know, a place that we used to go to a lot was a little coffee house in Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania. It's called the Main Point. I think it's probably long gone.
And there's probably only me and the people in Bryn Mawr that know where that's at.
Yeah. You know, I think it held like 100 people and maybe 50 more people standing. I'm not sure. But one of the acts I saw there once or twice was Jackson Browne.
Okay.
And the particular song of his that I always liked, and I carried the lyrics around with me for a couple of years, like a doofus, I guess. But it was called the song was called "The Pretender." And
you remember the words?
I remember some of the words. I remember, caught between the longing for love and the struggle for the legal tender. It was a story about a young guy. He's growing up. He's got met a girl.
This was a
do I live for love or do I live for material things, and trying to do that balance. It was a growing up kind of thing. And
but it truly, I can tell by the way.
So I always remember. I like those lyrics. He was a good lyricist, I thought. I saw him again many years later when his hair was white like mine. Still enjoyed him. But that was always one of my favorite live performances. It stuck in my head.
Okay, so this qualifies. This qualifies for what I'm saying. Here is a memorable experience attached to some music, and it doesn't have to be the number 1 tune of the day. It's just something that you can recall clearly. And this is what I'm referring to. My favorite memorable experience is about a song called "Run, Red, Run" by the Coasters.
I remember the Coasters. I can't say I remember Red.
Well, Red.
I remember the Coasters.
Red went out and bought himself a monkey.
Charlie Brown and all that.
No. Well, I remember that
clown,
song.
Charlie Brown.
Red went and bought himself a monkey and taught him how to play stud poker. No, you don't remember that.
This was not a big hit, apparently.
B-side.
B-side.
Okay. Let me set the premise. Right. This is also a semi-Pittsburgh experience. Outside of Pittsburgh, there's a Route 30. You know where that's at?
I do know Route 30.
Okay, so coming...
You're a bit scratchy, by the way.
Coming down Route 30, I'm coming down Route 30 into Pittsburgh, And for the life of me, I cannot remember why I was there. I don't know why I was coming down that road. I know I was driving the old 60 Buick. But this is the interesting part. Why I'm piecing out a memory of this. I don't know why. I don't know what happened after this, but I'm coming down the road. I'm listening to a song by our famous local DJ, who you know is Porky.
Oh, had to be Porky.
Right, Porky Chedwick. All right.
Daddy-O the radio.
Right. So he's on
ladder pushing Papa.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he's blasting the radio there, and he plays the flip side of this song, the B side, and he's playing Run Red Run. And I am laughing. I'm just laughing at myself to the lyrics of this thing. So as I'm coming down into Pittsburgh, Porky Chedwick often would speak during the music so that no one could copy it. He would come up with this crazy songs or something, and he would speak or say something right in the middle of it, so that if somebody was recording it, they would hear his voice. So we're coming down this hill, I'm laughing about this song, and Porky gets on the radio and says, "Flash your lights."
Flash your lights.
Flashlight. Did you remember even doing that? Flash your lights. And I can see all these lights on the parkway, on the bridges and stuff like that.
The parkway strobing, right?
Yeah, and I'm saying,
everybody's listening to Pork the Torque.
Everybody's listening to Porky Chedwick.
The boss hoss with a
so
hot
we're going
sauce.
Down, we're going
that was
down.
The man. Yeah.
I'm coming into Pittsburgh. Again now. This is where my memory goes completely blank. But then I hear him says, "Blow your horn." And you hear this tooting all over the place.
It's cacophony.
Well, for what I could hear, of course, I was blowing my horn too. But the point of my story is, I cannot remember anything that happened after that. I couldn't remember any reason why I was there. But that event, that song, is stuck in my head.
It's burned in.
How many years? 55 years or whatever.
Wow.
I can't believe. Now, I've heard other nice songs, obviously, like maybe at a concert. I was at a James Brown concert one time. That was quite interesting. Was
that in Pittsburgh?
No, that was in Cleveland.
Same one.
That was in Cleveland.
Okay, I saw James Brown in Pittsburgh, actually. Yeah, I had forgotten all about that.
So getting to see it and coming home, I mean, the drive both ways is probably a blur now too. I have no idea who was all even there at that time. But the memory thing, how it fades and how some things stick and some things don't. And that song, to this day, makes me smile. And as an old buck, I think it's you know what I mean? Like we forget the words.
Run.
Yeah, half of my life is like now forgotten of the adventure. What adventure was I on? If somebody would only tell me what the hell I did before then and after that.
Yeah, you are weird.
Oh,
You're wired. I meant to say wired. I'd said weird. That was like a Freudian slip, I guess. I don't know.
So
I'm sorry.
That's my musical adventure. So anybody listening that has a favorite experience like that, or even your favorite tune, to be always curious to hear about that, you're welcome to send that into Two Old Bucks, see what we say. So, but I know you've experienced more live concerts.
Something you said reminded me of something that happened a long time ago. Well, more than once. You probably don't even remember this, but you used to play the air bass.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Before it was fashionable.
Before it was fashionable. You played a horn also. Sometimes you played the air trombone. Sometimes you had the bass, not the electric bass, the standard bass.
Yeah, the full size bass, concert bass. Yeah.
Yeah, you played one.
A mean air bass.
Mean air bass. Yeah. And what's that song? You used to dig Glenn Miller. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
In the Mood. The Mood. You were always trying to sell us on In the Mood.
There's another song that I admired. True. And please don't sing it for me.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't major.
But those are interesting things too, because you start to recall where you were when you heard it, why you did some of those things. But the memories are fading, Dave. Like I'm recalling a word and all these things of how I got there, what was the purpose. But the music, an incident, and there you go. We have a memory.
Well, you got me on a roll now. I remember seeing the Temptations at the Twin Coaches in 1967. That's when David Ruffin was still with them. And my sister was in love with David Ruffin. He didn't know it, of course, but she, we went to see the Temps together, and since I used to work there, we got really good seats. We were really up close. And after the show, and they went off stage, she said, "Now my sister's not the most aggressive person in the world, but she said, 'We're going backstage. I got to see David Ruffin.'" So I said, "Really?" So we went down the stage, the backstage. You go down some steps, and it's very narrow. And who's coming the other way but the Temptations? And there's David Ruffin. And I thought she was going to die. And she said, "Oh, I love you so much, and can I have your autograph?" He gave her his autograph, and he gave her a big kiss on the cheek. I bet she didn't wash that cheek for 10 years. That was great. That was great.
When you worked there, what did you do?
Well, I was a busboy there. I was a busboy there in 63, I think it was. Yeah. That's a whole story right there.
Now, see, that has great flashing memories,
Oh,
even
man,
to me,
yeah.
because I heard some of the stories of those days. We have to save that for a complete episode of what I did.
Yeah, I
as
want
a
to get
busboy in this restaurant.
Yeah, I want to get Old Buck Gene on here. I'd like to interview him because we worked there together, and I'll tell you, we did some quick growing up there.
I did a busboy stint too.
Where did you bus?
I did a busboy stint at a Holiday Inn, and then me and another busboy was going up a flight of stairs, and he was carrying a 2-gallon jar of mayonnaise, and I goosed him. and he dropped it down 5 flights of stairs.
I think we know the end of that story.
He dropped it and fell down 5 flights of steps, and I was fired. So I didn't do well as a busboy. I was
okay. Well, so we definitely have some material there. Let's get back to some music here, because you really got me to thinking about this, and I wrote some things down, if you can endure it here. Other acts I saw at the Main Point. I saw Randy Newman there. Randy.
I do know Randy. I remember him.
He's still with us. He's great. He's won a bunch of Grammys, and great songwriter. I remember him singing "Sail Away." That's one of his most poignant songs, I think, "Sail Away." And the opening act for Randy was Jim Croce. And this was before Leroy Brown came out, and Croce
made him famous.
Yeah, he was great, and we saw him, and we were like 20 feet from him, maybe 10 feet from him. It was great.
Interesting.
Who else I saw there? I remember Janice Ian. You remember Janice Ian?
I don't know that.
She was, well, anyway, the song that I remember most was "At 17." And I wrote one of the lines down. "I learned the truth at 17, that love was meant for beauty queens."
Oh, I remember the song.
Song, yeah. And it goes on to, talk about, all the girls who weren't the most popular girl in school and that sort of thing. And, it's angst and growing up, and very, very touching song.
Here's a question for you. I wonder, we've clearly crossed some international boundaries with this. I wonder if it was different for those guys, maybe in Canada or Germany or something. I wonder if they all experienced something similar, as far as music and events and stuff like that, and memories. And maybe that would be an interesting thing, because sometimes you think you're the only person in the world that ever did that. I wished I'd have gone to some of those things and see those live concerts like you. I admire you for taking the time to do that. So
that's a good question. Maybe we can get some of our Old Buck listeners from afar to send in some of their experiences.
Yeah, and remember, we're talking about something had to do with music, maybe, or that's left this memorable event in your head. In my case, I couldn't remember why I was going that direction and what I did after that. But I mean, maybe they have a whole, the whole complete story for why they went that direction. And your experience with these live performances, geez, once in a lifetime. You don't get to see them too often. So,
well, the best performer I saw, the one that meant the most to me, I guess, was Jerry Jeff Walker. I saw him at the Main Point at least three times.
So
you
I
may
don't even
know.
remember him. What did he do? What was his?
Oh, you remember Mr. Bojangles?
Oh, okay,
That song.
okay.
He wrote that song. He wrote that song. A guy he met in a jail cell, and he had David Bromberg backing him up. Great guitar man. Jerry died last year, actually. The sad thing about Jerry was, I mean, I loved his songs, I loved his music, but he had a drinking problem. And the second time I saw him wasn't as good as the first, and the third wasn't as good as the second. He was getting pretty rough, and
Well, see,
kind
your
of
memory of
descended.
these things is pretty interesting too, because I think you
Yeah,
clearly got dressed up, got in your car, and drove to these venues, to see this
I
stuff.
didn't
So
get I didn't get that dressed up. Come on, it was the '60s or '70s.
you had your penny loafers
Yeah,
on, and and your what else do we have?
yeah. My tie-dyed T-shirt, probably. Yeah. But Jerry turned his world around. Though he got married, he quit drinking, and he died last year. He just died last year. He was a big guy in, I think, Lukenbach, Texas, Lubbock, Texas, Austin, around that way. Became a kind of a legend there.
Well, you obviously had a memory enough to go back and research this for this discussion, or is this sort of a lingering memory in the top of your head all the time? I mean, you didn't pull
Well,
that out
I
of thin air.
had to do some research to peg some of the years when these happened. I was able to Google some of these concerts and things, and so I got some times. But I mean, the memories have always kind of been with me. I got a couple more here if you can stand it.
No, carry on. Find it interesting.
So,
I mean, you've been places and seen things. I want to hear it. Go ahead.
I saw Mott the Hoople. They were like the opening act for Jethro Tull. They were on the same bill, and that was one loud and crazy show there. Both they were trying to outdo each other. It was pretty interesting. I can't say any particular song. All the Young Dudes, of course, Mott the Hoople. That was a David Bowie song, but I think they did it best.
Mm.
And Richie Havens I saw.
Jeez.
I really liked Richie Havens. I loved his music, but the concert I saw, he talked too much. He kept, he was talking to the fans. He'd talk for 5 minutes and then he'd sing for 3 minutes.
So
after we went home, the people that were with me said, "Oh, Richie Havens was great." I said, "Well, he was Richie Havens, but he wouldn't shut up." So,
see,
it's just me.
I don't have a memory of him at all. What was his famous song? What was the song?
Oh, Little Darlin'.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. Now I know the melody. I remember dancing to that one.
Open E chord guitar. I don't know. I'll tell you the worst live performance I saw by a name act, Chris Christopherson.
Oh,
I saw him in Madison, Wisconsin, January of '74. And it must have been 74 below zero that day too. It was terrible. And
you were disappointed.
Well, he was pretty drunk.
Oh,
yeah, he was pretty drunk. Yeah, and one of his band members didn't even show up, and he claimed the guy had the flu. So I
didn't. Did you mention once?
Excuse
me. Did you mention once that you had a chance to see Queen and didn't?
I never had. I passed on both the Beatles and the Stones, believe it or not.
But those guys weren't going to make it.
And I love both.
They were going to make it, right? They weren't
going to make it. Yeah, jeez. Yeah, yeah.
So you said.
Well, I mean, the Beatles
moments
were.
I regret in life, not going to those two concerts.
Well, I mean, the Beatles were in the Berg. I think it was '64, and it was going to be, 79,000 screaming girls. I thought, I'm not gonna hear any music. And then Rolling Stones were just kind of nobody then. They were playing at a park outside of town, and I don't know about these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll tell you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was say moving right along.
Moving right along. If I'm starting to bore you, just tell me. Another one I saw, was really memorable one. I saw Billy Joel at Albright College Gymnasium. That's in Reading, Pennsylvania. That was in the early '70s. So he was playing a gym. Martin Mull was the opening act, believe it or not.
Well, that would have been worth seeing. Martin Mull was pretty funny.
Yeah, he was. But the most memorable thing about Billy Joel, other than his music, I loved his music, still do. Now, my wife admired him even more than I did. And after about the second song, she got up from her chair and she walked up to the stage, and she sat on the floor at his feet for the rest of the concert.
What part of the country was this in?
In Reading, central Pennsylvania.
In Reading.
Yeah.
Did you have to drive a ways to get to that thing to see that? You weren't there. You weren't.
No, I actually lived there for a couple years. I lived there for a couple years.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
Back when I had my little business.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
But, yeah,
you never cease to amaze me. The more we talk about this, some people say we're learning more about each other now than we ever did being together all those years. So
yeah.
we never took the time to talk about it. I think that's probably what happened.
Yeah.
So, well, it sounds like we have some pretty diverted music interests. I mean, I only have one Run Red Run song.
Run. Now wait a minute. Now you did hear James Brown. You did see James.
I did see him. All right, I was impressed.
Now at the end of the act, did they do the thing with the robes where they throw the robe over him, and he would be stooped over, and like I'm used up, and they throw the robe over him. And then he throws it off, and he goes and sings again, and they put another robe over him. That was
when I saw that, I had to stand on my tiptoes to look over the 5 people in front of me standing against the wall at the very, very, very top of the auditorium. I barely could see the drummers in the back. I couldn't see the front of the stage. But the music was great, and of course the whole crowd thing was.
Yeah, jeez.
So
the best live act I've ever seen is Janis Joplin. Unbelievable. I saw her at the Electric Factory in Philadelphia, singing all her big hits. This was in '68, and I was probably 10 feet from her, and I mean I was so close. She swigged that Southern Comfort. She could spray it on me when she started singing. It was unbelievable.
You laughed, you cried, you'd do it again.
I wish I could do it again. Yeah, a lot of these people have left us.
We'll hopefully hear some people out there that tell us their music adventure stories. I mean, like I said, I danced to a lot of nice songs, and it was a great way to get to know the ladies. Slow dancing in those days. So
slow dancing. Yeah, we probably slow danced with some of the same girls. That may or may not become a segment someday.
I mean, we were both pretty handsome, so go figure.
Especially you. Yeah.
So anyhow, so what else is on your agenda for today? I'm out of music.
You're out of music?
Yeah, I'm done with music.
Okay. I got one thing. I just want to do another little plug here, a musical plug.
Okay.
I have to ask you a question first. Who do you think's the best female singer around today? Who do you like?
Oh, best female singer? Maybe Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga. A lot of people would say that. I like her too. I'll tell you somebody who will sing the socks off of Lady Gaga, and that's Rachel Price of the Lake Street Dive. You ever hear of the Lake Street Dive?
I don't. I didn't.
Okay, I've seen them twice, and boy, they're really talented. She's spectacular. She's got kind of, she doesn't get the airplay or the popularity. She doesn't have the popularity of like a Gaga or some of these other people. She's kind of more jazzy, low voice, but boy, she can really sing a song. And in the liner notes, I'll put a link to one or two of their videos, because I think they're such an underrated group, or at least underappreciated. I guess I think they're.
Do you actually have time to listen to this stuff? You do it while you're driving? When the heck do you actually get a chance to listen to this music?
Well, when you start texting me at 6 o'clock in the morning and wake me up,
that's when I get my good ideas.
I got nothing else to do for another hour or two till I wake up. So I'll listen to some music here. Yeah, boy.
So you are you're one of those people that when they hear that bing any time of the night, you don't turn your phone off?
Well, I have you programmed kind of like on the speed line. So, yeah,
have that weird ring. Say, oh no, it's him this time. What's he want now? Anyhow, thanks.
I think I have it set at silence till like from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Oh,
And you must know that because it's 6:01.
6:01. Yeah, that's when my great ideas occur to me. 6:01 a.m. So,
time to get up, Dave.
I hope everybody thinks about their music, thinks about their memories, and thinks about the fact that seems like they're slipping away to me. So,
sliding away. You know what? Let me see if I think we've probably chewed up a fair amount of time here, but I do have, I can do a letter from afar or two.
Go ahead. What's up? What'd you get?
See if I
remember, folks, I'm not with him today, so I have no hand signals, no, no visual idea.
You're not here. You think I'd have something useful to do with my hands besides?
Well, you're in charge. I mean, you're doing all the complicated work for this program.
Well, yeah, and the production staff's off today.
Yeah.
This is their day off, so I have to do a lot of this stuff myself. And got the composers and arrangers are out there too. But hey, we actually have a winner. You remember your submarine problem?
Oh, really?
What is the scale? Yes, we have a winner, and it is this is. Good old Phil from Punxsutawney. I'll just call him Punxsutawney Phil. He's a hairy little devil.
Yep.
And in his note, he said, I did it in my head in about 2 seconds and came out with 80-1. I reminded him that I already had that taken, but he didn't hear that apparently.
And I played with that for quite a bit since then. I've been looking at pictures and charts and all kind of things. That could be right.
And then he said, and I calculated, and they came out to 78.8, and that is the correct answer within normal error.
So there's the scale for a 16-inch or 36-inch model sub, based on a
72 meters,
72 meter real sub. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, mixing our units.
1 to 70, 78.
78.8. Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen.
So we're going to be mailing out a set of engraved 2 Old Bucks cufflinks to Phil. I hope he enjoys them.
In scale.
They'll be to scale.
Yeah,
of course.
They'll be to scale.
So I think maybe we better stop while we're ahead here.
Okay.
And I'll say this is Old Buck Dave.
And Old Buck Del.
And see you next time.
See you next time.
Adios.